Wonder Woman issue number 3. That's right, folks. We are back at it with some more Tom King goodness. Goodness gracious, what an interesting book to talk about. This feels like if the book hasn't been controversial at this point, this is going to be the deterring factor for a lot of people. Because this issue is kind of like it's old white guys against Wonder Woman. Like, that's what we're doing. Personally, I love it. I think that's exactly the type of story Wonder Woman should be tackling right now. It feels very true to something that is happening. I feel like superhero stuff, especially female superhero-led stuff, is under a lot of scrutinization lately with like what people think they want versus what certain audiences think they want. So taking the most prominent female-led superhero and having her tackle this issue, that to me is perfect. I think it's perfect. Tom King, maybe not the perfect writer to tackle that story. I'm not going to fault him for doing things he does in this book, just because it's probably the best way it could be handled. So we see Wonder Woman is headed into the office building for Axe, which is the agency that Sergeant Steele is working for. She goes up to reception, and one of the people there is just ignoring her, like, listen, lady, I don't got time for this. I'm doing a crossword puzzle with my favorite Wonder Woman artist. So Hughes is in there, and Perez is in there, and Jimenez is in there. We're having fun. But then this guy looks up, and he starts to realize, oh, this is Wonder Woman. She's like, hi, can you please tell me where Sergeant Steele's office is, please? And he's like, 32A. So she's like, thank you. As she does that, we cut to the other part of this story, which is the President of America, or the King of America, I should say. The King. The President's Joe Biden at this point, I'm guessing, who is 81 years old, by the way, and probably looks the same age as the King of America. It's strange. So this guy we met in the end of issue 1. I still think he's the silent narrator through this book, just because he's kind of talking about, like, the things we have to do because Wonder Woman took over the land. But he has a young man, Private Delgado, show up to his, wealthy estate. And this is like a young soldier who was in Montana when Wonder Woman fought all the soldiers in the last issue. And this little guy's like, this is a cool place you got here, old timer. Like, this gun's pretty sick. And he's like, yeah, that's the gun that was used to kill President Lincoln. He's like, oh shit, really? That's pretty cool. This young guy, I do want to point this out too. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I'm just going to point it out because that's what it feels like to me. This is one of the only military men we have like a name for in this book so far who's a character of color. And the things that he does in this book make me think this is writing about the old white men being the ones who have a problem with Wonder Woman. And we'll get to that in a minute here, but he is now introduced to the King of America. And it's kind of just like an intense thing. Like, all right, I wanted you here because I have something to ask you and something we need to discuss. And as he's kind of just explaining, like, the sins committed by Wonder Woman for washing up on the shores of America, we see Diana is in an elevator. She takes down an agent who is attacking her first. The best thing about this book is Wonder Woman is never the one to instigate a fight. She's not going to be the one. When she leaves the elevator, she throws her tiara out first and attacks the guys, and she's just kind of like tired of the whole fighting. She's letting her tiara do the work, and she steps off the elevator. More people try to attack her, but she's like, I will just find the office I'm looking for. She's not going to instigate anything. She's not going to care too much. She's just going to get on with her day. And that is when we cut back to the King of America, and he's talking to Delgado, and he's now holding like a baton from some like protests in the 60s. These big things in America that shape history. You can decide which protest in the 60s that police baton is from. I'm sure you'll be able to come up with some conjecture of your own. And the King of America is asking him, like, okay, so you were there when Wonder Woman attacked. How does that make you feel? And Delgado's like, I mean, it was hard, but it wasn't like that long of a fight. Like, we went to attack her. She destroyed all of our tanks. I mean, she's a superhero. She's powerful and strong. I mean, I don't know. We lost a fight. I don't think that's a big deal. It's nothing I'm going to cry about. And you just see the younger generation, the character of color, and this man is not overreacting to the thought of Wonder Woman pantsing the military, essentially. But the king is like, okay, but she like destroyed your manhood. And he's like, did she though? You know, not really. And he's like, well, I have something else I want to show you then, son. Like maybe something that'll help, like, you know, we'll just like change the subject. I just wanted to ask about all that. I know like you were there, but here, check this out. And this is where the King of America pulls out the lasso of lies. And Delgado's like, oh shit, that's cool. He wants to go touch it. We cut back to see Diana. The door has been blown off of 32A. Some more soldiers are concussed. And she is sitting in the office chair of Sergeant Steele. And she's like, look, I didn't want to do this. I tried to do it the polite way. I asked where your office was. Your men attacked me there. I just wanted to ask you because I know you have information on Amelie, and I want to know what your information is. That's what's going on there. And this is where we cut back to the president. The fucking president. I'm going to keep doing that. We cut back to the King of America. He's with Delgado. They're both holding the lasso of lies. And this is where the king goes, you're really upset that Wonder Woman bested you in that fight. And he's like, yeah, I am. Yeah, you're right. I am. I'm devastated. She like undermined your manhood. This woman robbed you of your own gender. You're threatened by her. And you're a man? That's such a pussy move to do. And this is where Delgado is just starting to lose himself. So I was wondering what the lasso of lies was going to be. Is it going to be like you can only lie when you're in it? But no, it's going to take what you already feel about yourself and going to make you believe a lie that you don't actually feel. So now the King of America is making Delgado think that he's upset that Wonder Woman bested him and that he should just kill himself. I'm like, holy shit. And there's a lot of symbolism to read into this. I'm just going to point it out because it did factor into me. This is a young black man who's being manipulated by an old white man to kill himself. And because Delgado didn't have a strong reaction to Wonder Woman, it makes the older generation upset that this young guy's like, you're not upset that a woman bested you? That's how I feel. At the same time, this is like kind of going in the same course of Sergeant Steele, because as Wonder Woman is talking to him and asking him these questions about Amelie, he is like, I have an army outside. We have the weapons that can take down Superman coming for you. You think you're better than Superman? You think that? You put on your eyeliner, you think about that, and you whine that you're not Superman every day, you put on your eyeliner, you little bitch? She's like, dude, I know you let Steve talk to me. Like, I know Steve Trevor's working with you. I know you know he talks with me. He thinks he's a good spy, but it's just kind of like, whatever. And the entire time, Sergeant Steele's screaming at her like, you don't understand any of this shit, lady. I have an army here for you. And she's like, I know you have information on Amelie. Steve has told me that. I want to do this diplomatically, but you are the one who is making this exhausting. He's like, look, I don't care. You can try to leave if you want there, Diana. You're going to die. Eventually, there's going to be too many men for you to handle, and you're just going to get killed. She's like, you think so? You think that's the case with Wonder Woman? And he keeps saying, I have an army. And she's like, yeah, I have an invisible jet. And she has the jet facing his window, staring out at him. And that is when we get some more narration. So the narration this whole time has been a mysterious figure talking to who you thought was the audience, but it's actually talking to Trinity, who is the young daughter of Wonder Woman. We'll get to that in a minute here again. And parts of this book now are interspersed with the narration describing to Trinity like the power that Wonder Woman had. And actually, when the Amazons came to our shores, we thought they could be like us, but that means they're going to kill like us too. And we intercut that with Sergeant Steele realizing he can't win this fight with Wonder Woman this day, and Delgado writing his suicide note and blowing his brains out. I'm like, shit, man, this is intense. This is exactly what Wonder Woman needed right now. Just kind of like this shot in the arm to be an actual political book. She is a character draped in the American flag. We should talk about this at some point. King likes to talk about this stuff. I'm fine with him talking about this stuff. So Delgado killed himself because the lasso of lies told him to. And he wrote a suicide note that directly says Wonder Woman did this. What does it say? In her actions that day, Wonder Woman denied my rights as a man to exist in this world. You're like, that is not true. And it's so blatantly not true. You're just like, whatever. But you just see Steele knows that his day is beat, and he's like, all right, look, we had some people do forensics on the site where all those people died in the bar. We found some drops of blood that didn't really match with any of the bodies we found. Turns out it was Amazonian, and it was just kind of different than the rest of it. But look, let's get to the chase there, Diana. Whoever your killer there, Amule, was, well, she had a baby in her belly, and that's when we cut to the end of this story, revealing that somebody is talking to Trinity while she's locked up behind bars. And that's where you're like, oh, that's where Trinity comes in. And this could be two things. It does not say. It could be that Trinity is the daughter of Amalai, and that's probably what I'm thinking they're leaning towards. It still could be Diana, because they say your mother, but your mother, again, does imply it's just an Amazon, so it's still up in the air if it's Diana or Amalai. It could be either of them. I'm starting to think it might be Amalai as the mother and some random man. I could still see it being Diana and Steve. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But after that part ends, we do have a backup where it's a couple years later from now. It's Wayne Manor. John and Damien are arguing as older brothers do. And John's like, I gotta go save like a dam from exploding. Please let me go do with that. She's a 5-year-old girl, Damien. You can handle being alone with her. But we see that Lizzie does not want to eat her mac and cheese because there's crumbs in it and she doesn't like it. She wants pizza, and she throws her food at Damien, and she starts swearing, and that's when John's like, would you teach her to swear? And he just kind of like leaves to go deal with his shit, leaving Damien alone with Lizzie. Who's Trinity? We know this now. The few times we have seen Lizzie at this point, we know that she's going to grow up to be Trinity, the Wonder Woman daughter replacement. So Damien's like, well, if John can go out, so can I, and if every other parent's off-world, screw it. Lizzie, get in the Batmobile. And she's like, fine, I'll be Wonder Robin. And then he's like, all right, fine. First superhero lesson, wasting time gets you and others killed. Now get in the car. And she goes, I don't know how to tie my boots. Can you tie my shoes for me? He's like, okay, fine. So he ties them, trying to teach her how to tie them. He's like, last time I didn't tie my shoes properly, and my grandfather locked me in a box in the desert. And she's like, wow, that's really sad. Are you going to lock me in a box in the desert if I don't do that? He's like, I don't know. So then they go fight Killer Croc, and Damon's like, here's how you do a kick. Here's how you do all this. You should just let me handle it, though, Lizzie. Don't get involved, please. But she's like, no, I know what to do. And then she kicks Killer Croc in the chest, throws him through the side of the sewer. And he's like, good job. You did good, kid. Yay. Come on, sis. Let's head back home. And when they're back home, we see John shows up. He's, like, covered in water because, there was, like, a whole fight. And he's, like, drenched and disgusting. And Damien's like, well, Lizzie and I had a good day too. We fought Killer Croc. And he's like, you let her fight Killer Croc? She's 5. That's a serial killer. He eats people. And he's like, it's fine. It's fine. She didn't like her food. We had to go out and do something. John's like, well, okay, let's just not tell Diana like that part. He's like, yeah, okay, sure. Damien swears again, and then mumbling in her sleep, Lizzie does the same. And it's cute. Like, that's kind of fun. Damien and John being the older brothers now. That's kind of a cool thing to see. And this Lizzie being a small child. I dig that kind of side story. It's been really fun. They're really good at showing how to like make Damien like a weird kid. Where he's just like, I kind of know how to behave, but do I really? I really respond to that. This book is really fun. It takes itself super seriously and never puts Diana in a compromising position. She's always in the right in every scene, and I think that's a really cool thing to see. She should be the beacon of virtue, and I think that's exactly what this book is representing for her. Even when these old white guys start getting pissed off that they're losing a war to a woman who is not fighting a war with them, that's a really interesting dynamic to explore, and I think it's working well for this book. I'm digging this book. I'm sorry. I am digging this book. So, Wonder Woman issue number 3, I'm going to give a 10 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.